Hi, I'm so glad you're here. My name is Khaleesi and this is The Sims 4. This speed build is actually a shell build, so there's no interior in these buildings. And this is a little cul-de-sac that is for my save file, the Khaleesi Save File. And these are located in Oasis Springs. And I wanted to make a little neighborhood, and this is specifically made for rent, the new expansion pack where you can rent out lots. So I wanted to do a mixture of this little cul-de-sac that had kind of house sizes that was the equivalent of the other like single lot houses in the same neighborhood, because this is a little bit of the cheaper neighborhood in Oasis Springs. And I felt that this lot was so huge and it didn't really fit in to have like a big mansion by these cheaper lots. I wanted it to look more like natural, that it was like the same house, kind of smaller, cozy family houses. So with the new for rent, I thought it was really great to have like a little cul-de-sac like this at the end of the road. And in my save file, this road is called Cacti Road. So this is the houses Cacti Road 1, 3, and 5. On the other side of the street, we have 4 and 2. And then right next to this, we also have number 6 and 7. But in this is Cacti Road 135, as I said, and I wanted to have it so that it wasn't like didn't feel like a project where like it's a one building company and they all make the same house. I wanted it to look more like a naturally progressing like neighborhood, so all of the houses have the Spanish like revival style, the kind of style that I would see a lot when I would live or travel to LA, but in different sizes, a little bit different tones and colors. Kind of like when neighbors, build their houses next to each other, so they kind of try to keep the style and tone, but they still want to have their own, individual house. I also wanted for this build to have at least 2 garages, so it looked like more like lived in, and that's something I discovered lately too. That even if you can't drive in The Sims 4 and you can't use the cars, using bug cars really makes it feels like there's someone home. You know what I'm saying? Um, so I was thinking a lot about like how the kind of houses I would travel by when like driving in LA, and kind of what it would look like outside, what kind of garages they would have, what kind of cars would be in the driveways and stuff like that. And these 3 lots, the one I'm working on right now here, this is a 1 bedroom house, a very small house with a small garage, pretty simple. And then the house at the end of the cul-de-sac, the little bigger one, that has several bedrooms. It has 3 bedrooms on the top floor. And then on the bottom floor, it kind of has like a study and then like an open kitchen and living situation. And then it has a bigger garage for 2 cars that is more like attached to the house. And then the third house here does not have a garage. And that's a 2 small bedroom kind of house. This whole build is done with base game only, as this is part of my save file. I want my save file to be kind of like accessible to everyone, no matter what kind of pack, accessibility you have at the moment. So I'm trying to keep Willow Creek and Oasis Springs as they're part of the base game only as far as I can. And it was really interesting for me to use only base game, and also specifically to do Spanish revival houses, because I never make Spanish revival houses in The Sims, and I really want to start doing it more, and specifically, of course, for Oasis Springs. So this is actually one of my first Spanish revival builds, and this is where like my creative director like OCD comes in, because it's so hard for me in The Sims specifically to use the like roofs and these color tones, especially these brick roofs, because they're so orange. The color is way too bright and too saturated. It's not supposed to look like that. And it really clashes with a lot of the more realistic textures that they've done later in the game. So I have a really hard time using these roofs, because most of the swatches are just way too orange. And they, in the sunlight, especially in the Oasis Springs where it's so bright, they literally shine like they're like neon colored. This that I found, this one, it's like pink toned when you choose it the build and buy. This one is actually a little bit more muted. I mean, it's bright freaking orange. You can see it now, but it's just a little bit more muted than the other one. So it's looks more natural. But I really wish that they did a remake of a lot of the base game swatches for roofs, because they have become so much more sophisticated. The windows, the wall colors, the wall textures, all of that stuff has become so much more sophisticated. And a lot of the roof colors, etc., and textures don't match that. So I always kind of like hesitate doing Spanish revival or Spanish, like authentic. Spanish revival is more of an American thing, but Spanish authentic builds as well. And even doing like Italian or French builds when you want to use maybe these kind of textures sometimes. And it bothers me so much, like it hurts my brain. So this was like a challenge for me to just like get into doing Spanish revival in The Sims. But I really like that these feel like very cozy family houses, and I really wanted them to be on the smaller side. This house that you're looking at right now, the one at the end of this cul-de-sac, it's the biggest one of the three. It feels so big compared to the other ones, and it is pretty big inside actually, because it's such an open floor plan. But it's still, like a one family type of house. And I haven't decided who's gonna live here yet. If you have any suggestions or you want to make any wishes for who should live here in my save file, let me know. Otherwise, I'll make some families for it. But I haven't decided yet. I definitely want it to be like families, because I need more children and elderly in Oasis Springs. I want to have a bigger mixture. So maybe it's like a grandma with her kids, maybe grandkids that she takes care of or something. That would be kind of nice. Or maybe an elderly couple, that takes care of their grandkids. Or yeah, I don't know, something like that. You might hear from my accent that I'm not American. I'm actually Swedish. And I don't know if I was clear, but I used to spend a lot of time in LA, in the US. And this whole build, I was just thinking about the neighborhoods that I've driven by, like friends that I've visited, like their parents that I visited and stuff like that, in different parts of LA. So this was actually like a trip down memory lane for me, like the whole build. One thing I really is interesting to me with the Spanish revival style or like Spanish houses is these like outer kind of spaces with the archways where it's literally like a small entrance, and then inside you have the actual windows or door. And you saw that on the big building at the back there. I did kind of like these inserted kind of balconies that goes into the building, and they have like a roof on top. And in like hot climates, it's so good to have those kind of structures. It really provides so much coolness to the house to have like kind of a layer in between, like right here with the open doorway to the house, where it's like literally an entryway and then the door is inside that like little space. It creates so much coolness between the hot sun and your actual indoor like climate. And it makes such a difference to have these kind of houses. And sometimes like when I'm in Sweden, our houses are not made for heat. Our houses are made for keeping the heat in during the winter, so we don't have that coolness that they have in these kind of houses. And it's so relaxing when you're in a warm climate to, for example, like in Sweden we have mostly wood floors, and in a lot of these houses they have like these tiles, these like stone tiles. And when you're in a hot climate, it makes such a difference to like have those cool floors and having those details. I was thinking a lot about just the aspects of houses and how they're built and how it affects the climate and how you feel in them. I personally really love stone houses. I like that clean, smooth look. I like the kind of the contrast between like a smooth, like white stone wall and very detailed windows, like dark wood, like trimmed windows or black trimmed windows. I think it's very like aesthetically pleasing to look at, and also it's just like very relaxing with that clean kind of simple look. I really like it. And I had a lot of fun making these builds, to be honest. Like, and I was actually really excited to make a bigger one as well, like make more of a like a Spanish revival mansion. And I have picked up some reference photos to make that in the other lots here in Oasis Springs. But I really wanted to start with these small, cozy family houses because most of the friends that I know in LA have these kind of styles. And I just thought about like it's going to be interesting later to decorate them. As always, it's so different with kind of the scale in The Sims. So we'll see if these are big enough to make into kind of like more family homes. But I like what they look like on the outside, and I have reference photos for these, which I used to make sure that I got kind of good combination of the styles. As I said, I really wanted these to be feel like there was three neighbors who built their own houses, made after their budget as well as their family size. I didn't want to feel that it would feel like a project, like a building company project that just like put up four, three to whoever many houses and they all look the same. You know what I'm saying? And I was also really excited to be able to do the landscaping with like cacti and stuff. And it was really fun for me to play around with these tiles, to use tile floors and figure out these colors. As I said, it's really hard for me because these tile floors, just as the problem with the tile roofs, they're so orange. Most of them are so orange, and that's not what these kind of tiles look like in real life, especially not in sunlight. So I choose the ones that are, if you look in the build by, they're more the pink tones, and they look more like natural, more realistic kind of tiles. But I still wish that actually the orange tones would be more realistic and kind of muted down so we can use them more, because I want to do more builds in these styles and not be like blinded when you put it in like live mode, you know what I mean? Because that's literally how I feel when I use those kind of tiles in The Sims. I feel blinded. Is anyone else like that? Do you also have a problem with these tiles, or is it just me? And also, it feels like such a throwback for me to The Sims 1. Like, I played The Sims since The Sims 1. Like, I was crazy when The Sims first came out. It was amazing to me, and I just it gives me such like Sims 1 vibes with those kind of bright, like stark colors that kind of like is in your face, that's not really what I want in The Sims. I want it to be a little bit more muted, realistic, usable in different types of gameplay, because I feel like it becomes more cartoonish as well when it's so unnatural. And it would be such a small thing, but I really would love if they did that. I would be able to make so many more builds that I would really like to do. But I'm really enjoying building these like base game only houses and getting to explore the base game floors and wallpapers and stuff. Honestly, there's so many things in that category that I have missed before. And also, like, forcing yourself outside of my comfort zone with these builds are so much fun. Like, it's so fun to just do different things. Because if you let me loose and I just get to do what I normally do, it's gonna be like black and white, modern, like enormous size mansions. That's literally what I naturally build in The Sims. So I really want to build more of these smaller houses, more of different styles, and just different like family dynamics. Like when I build things like this, I always have to have a family in mind. So in this case, I had three families in mind, and I think they actually fit pretty well with the rest of the build in this neighborhood. I still haven't built properly on Cacti Road 6 and Cacti Road 7. Cacti Road 7 right now is a build from my eco lifestyle, and it's going to be remodeled to suit this save file. And honestly, I'm so excited about that. I'm actually really excited to build everything in base game. It sounds maybe crazy to some people, but I've just always been someone who builds with everything and have no restriction, and it really is interesting. I feel like I'm going to learn so much about every single pack by doing doing these kind of restrictions. I had so much fun doing that with my big Silverkrona estate. You have the videos in my on my channel. It's a mini series that I did, which is literally like three speed build videos about Silverkrona estate, which is a Swedish authentic farm estate from the 1850s that is in my save file. And just with doing that with the limitations of only base game and cats and dogs and making a full castle like level of estate, I was so surprised that I could do it in a way that I really liked. I thought when I started building it, like, oh my god, I'm gonna be so limited. Like, I'm not gonna be able to find those like yellow colors that I needed for the wood for the estate to look authentic. And I was actually surprised of how many things I could find. Yeah, so it's like, Sims is such an enormous game. There's so, I mean, I have all the packs and everything. Like, I have everything you can buy for The Sims. And it's so enormous, like it's kind of easy to get lost. That is also one of the reasons why I decided to make my challenge, which is a new challenge in The Sims 4. You're going to see it on my channel as well. You can find it in its own playlist. I can link it down below as well. And that whole challenge is literally made so that you explore every single pack, both live mode, gameplay, and build and buy mode. And I really feel like I needed that myself, really to like do more challenges, kind of get the most out of the game, and not get stuck in that kind of rut, where you do the same thing over and over. So I'm really looking forward to doing that recording because I've been building that challenge for a long time now. It takes time to like figure out the challenge for the sim, especially with so many expansion packs and different kind of gameplay that is added all the time. But it's gonna be a very interesting thing to do for me for the first time, do a really, really long legacy challenge. And I have like prepared all of that stuff too on my website, because with most challenges you have to show the rules and kind of like explain everything, like what the challenge rules are. But I went a bit further and I actually made like ready-made different kind of tools on my website that you can use to make like do the different spins for which packs to use and which traits to use, and like stuff that I was missing myself, both in the game and on other places. For example, I made these kind of randomizers, because when you go into casts, there's only certain things you can randomize. You can't randomize everything. So you can randomize like their traits, but you can't randomize color choices, music choices, characteristics you like, fashion styles, interior design styles, if you have Dream Home Decorator, all of those things. So I actually made my own custom randomizers for all of these categories and put everything in them. So I have a randomizer for fashion, I have a randomizer for decoration style, I have a randomizer for all conversation topics, I have a randomizer for favorite colors, I have a randomizer for every single music style in the game. So I made randomizers for all of these different kind of game sides that doesn't exist in the game, so you can completely randomize a full storyline or a full gameplay experience. And I did it for my challenge, the Around the World for challenge that I created. But I realized I'm going to use it in a lot of other places as well. So if you want to use them, they're on my website, KhaleesiPlays.com. You can find them there. It's also linked in the description below on every video I make. So you can find it there too. Let me know if you like them and use them. I'm really curious. 1, 2. Actually, I've always been like having other people in mind when I build things. I think that's part of why I think it's fun to build in The Sims. Like I'm building for someone else all the time. And I don't know if that's like what everybody does, but I've done that for so long. And I realized now it started actually when the East family, if you know, the East family is my longest standing kind of family that I played personally. They are a huge family. They're part of the lore in my save file. lifestyle. They own a lot of property, a lot of businesses. Their, kids are everywhere. And the main family literally have 10 kids because for some freaking reason, this family has like twins in their genes and triplets in their genes. I'm not kidding. All of the kids also got twins and triplets. And it's insane. But anyways, that meant that this family kind of got out of control and I needed to build like a big house for them. So I built a big like LA style mansion for them. And this was like years ago. And I accidentally uploaded it to the gallery. I didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to save it for my own sake in case my game crashed or something. And a lot of people downloaded it. And I was like, oh, so people like want these things. And like since then, I've always considered like to make sure that I'm building things that are accessible and like usable for other people. And I think it makes it so much more fun for me. Like I really love building for other people. And that's why I also always like I build for the families or I build for someone else. So if you have anything you want me to build for you, let me know. I just think that's so much fun. Also, if you're curious about the East family, I have a full page, well actually it's several pages on my website that is completely dedicated to the East family. You can see their whole history, you can see their genealogy, you can see all of the family members, and you can also see all of the houses that they've lived in through the years as they progressed. And of course they're part of the save file. All of their houses will be revealed with the save file as well. But it was a lot of fun to make those pages. So you can find it on KhaleesiPlays.com. And let me know if you do the same thing. If you have one of those families that you played for a long time and you kind of know them very, very well. It's hilarious when I like was doing that like genealogy and also the history page for this family. I realized how much lore I have around that family. It's like so intricate and like detailed, and I was kind of laughing at myself of like I've really had so much fun like building this storyline of this family, like playing it out, and hopefully people can enjoy that too. And when I start releasing my challenges and some of the kind of series I'm gonna do on this channel that are let's plays, it's gonna make total sense to you guys why I have a full page on the East family, because they're definitely gonna be involved. So this part of the build, when I was doing these garage doors, I was actually surprised I could get those wooden, I think they're wooden fences, but they worked wonders as kind of the garage doors that are literally like folded up into the garage. You can see me place the second one here. I really think they fit it in, but it was really hard to find anything that actually looked natural. And I was just lucky that it actually looked good when you sized them down. But those are really like assets that I'm going to remember. And I found out now that you can do like, I don't know if it's only because I have the better build and buy mod to like help me with building and stuff, or if it is in the actual game nowadays that you can favorite things in the build section. But I think with the better build and buy mod that you can actually favorite even debug things, and I hope that I can, because I definitely discovered some new things lately that I really want to keep for different kinds of builds, like for example that wooden wall for making garage doors. And I actually wish they showed a little bit more of the debug items, like deconstructed, and not the whole like houses, because we can definitely do a lot more with those. You know what I mean? One thing that I was thinking about a lot when I was doing this build is like, do you want me to show the reference photos that I use when I do these kind of builds, or do you prefer me not to show them? Let me know in the comments. I really want to know, because if you want them, I'll definitely show them in the beginning. So for some people, maybe that's like ruining the surprise. I don't know. And also, like, do you like that I show the build in the beginning when I present the video, or do you want me to just go straight into starting the speed build? I personally, I like to actually see the build first to know what I'm going to watch. I feel the videos where they go straight into just the speed build, it's so like confusing, because you see the full build on like the video thumbnail, and then you just go into like a completely empty lot and you kind of forgot what you were watching. So let me know what you think about that. Do you prefer when I do it like the way I do it now, where I show actually what you're gonna be seeing, or do you want it to be like a surprise at the end? Let me know. I'm actually really curious. I had a lot of fun doing the landscaping, and I know it's a little bit a lot. It's very like professionally landscaped, manscaped when it comes to these like cacti gardens. But I felt like I really wanted it to be luscious and like filled out. Because I think also when you play in other household like next to these kind of lots, when you have them properly filled out, it looks better when you're like walking around the neighborhood. But do you think it's too much? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and my mumbling self. It is incredibly motivating when you like, subscribe, and comment on my videos and watch them to the very end. And I hope to hang out with you in the next video. And now it's time for the montage. Welcome to the official end screen team. I actually made a full Arabic style villa with like a hammam, spa, and everything that is base game compatible. And it belongs to the Kabiri family in my save file that are political opponents to the land grabs. I really thought it was time that someone had the power and the means to stand up to the land grabs.